Hi, Taurus. Welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your September 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a 12-card spread with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Taurus is the first house, all the way through to Aries representing the 12th. Once we get to the main spread, we'll pull an oracle card as well for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Brady Tarot, and for the Oracle deck, we have the Wisdom of the Oracle. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, so we have Pisces, and for you guys, Pisces is your 11th house of friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes. Astrologically speaking, we technically will have a full moon eclipse in Pisces on the 28th of August. And let's see what else. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for that, but definitely worth noting there for sure. And let's see what else we got. All right, fourth house. So for you guys, fourth house is Leo now. Plenty of energy going on there. You know, at the time I'm recording this, we're still technically in Leo season. But aside from that, we also have Jupiter in Leo, of course. Let's see what else. Technically, Mars will be there toward the very end of September, but we have Mercury. That's there for a couple more days at the time I'm recording this, and then we'll move into Virgo. I feel like there's one I'm forgetting too. But yeah, either way, quite a bit of energy in there, and fourth house in general points to home roots and family. And we have the South Node. Oh, well, yeah, there you go. That would be the one I was forgetting. The South Node is also in Leo, so more fourth house energy there. So yeah, so you could definitely be feeling an energy of maybe releasing old memories, old wounds related to that area of life. But we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. All right, so for your first house energy, which is generally personality, self-awareness, appearance, we have the Seven of Roots. In this deck, it's referred to as growth. So this is actually a Taurus card. And seeing this here could just be saying that, yeah, maybe you feel like you're further behind than where you actually are in the reality, right? And maybe it's because you have been going through a cycle of slow growth, right? So maybe it's not visible to everyone the amount of growth that you're doing, right? But at the same time, it is still happening. Most of all, it might not be as visible to you as it might actually be. So yeah, it could just be saying you guys might be a little bit harder on yourselves this month in some ways. All right, in the second house, which points primarily to possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the Empress. So usually I do view the Empress as actually one of the Taurus energies. Your main major arcana card is the Hierophant, but to me this is a close second for sure. But yeah, seeing this here could just be saying at least when it comes to your finances, things might be flowing a little bit more smoothly, which might help ease some of the burden there. So for your third house of communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have the Mother of Horns. So this is really the equivalent of the Queen of Cups, which is a Cancerian energy, and that is actually your natural third house. So to me, this says with your communication, you're going to be coming across clearly this month, very authentically as well, which is important, right? If you have been being a little bit down on yourselves, if you're able to communicate yourselves more clearly, maybe that'll, excuse me, speaking of communicating clearly, maybe that'll help you get your point across with people and help them see what you're going through. For your fourth house, which we mentioned the dice pointed to as well, we have apathy. So yeah, so fourth house being home roots, family, right? Could just be saying that maybe when you're within your home environment, you might be feeling a little bit more down on yourselves. But beyond that, could just even be saying that maybe when you're around the people you're closest to, right? Maybe you feel like you can't open up to them the way you'd like to. Maybe you feel like they're not picking up on what you're going through, right? So you could feel a little bit of heaviness when it comes to that. But again, like I said, I feel like the one thing that's going to be working in your favor with that is that it looks like you will be communicating clearly this month. So if there's something that maybe they had been missing beneath the surface, I feel like now you're going to be able to get that point across a lot more clearly. And that does make me think of the fact that now it seems like it was a while ago, but we did have earlier in the year, we had a Mercury retrograde in Cancer, right? So could just be saying that even the dust from that finally is clearing, and now your communication's coming across a lot better, and that's going to help people show up for you in a better way. For your fifth house of romance, creativity, and children, we have enchantment. So this is really more or less the Ace of Pentacles. So this is a good thing to see here, because to me this says also maybe your creativity will start to come back to the surface, right? So if you felt like things were a bit stagnant in general, right, maybe you're going to get some creative ideas that'll help you kick things up to another level. And I mean, that would make sense as far as we're going to be moving into a Virgo season, right? So with that, that is your fifth house. So all the energy starting to move through that sign could help spark your creativity. So the timing seems good there as well. So for your sixth house of health, work, and daily routines, we have the Father of Roots. So this is actually a Taurus card right here. This is the equivalent of the King of Pentacles. And seeing this here, yeah, to me it says this could just be where you're putting a lot of your time and energy right now is toward your work, right? And again, it's like we said, maybe combining that with what we're seeing in the first house, maybe you feel like that area of life isn't moving for you at the pace you would like. If that's the case, connecting that with what we see in the fifth house and second house could just be saying that letting your creativity flow a little bit more might actually be the key to seeing some improvement there. For your seventh house of partnerships and contracts, well, in relationships as well, we have the Mother of Arrows. So this is a Libra energy equivalent of the Queen of Swords. So natural seventh house ruler here. But to see this show up in your seventh house to me says that you could enter into some good partnerships this month, or maybe you already have some around you. But either way, with this in the seventh house, this is definitely a good energy to see here because it points to an energy of fairness, an energy of balance, an energy of clear communication between all parties as well. All right, so for your eighth house, which points to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments, we have the Sun of Roots. So more pentacle energy here too. Really, this is the equivalent of the Knight of Pentacles. So a bit of a Virgo energy here. So this could just be communicating two things, like we were saying, as we're going to be moving through Virgo season, maybe you'll start to see some signs of growth when it comes to, let's say, investments you might have made, right? Maybe some growth of resources. Now, again, if we think of the traditional tarot, right, with the Knight of Pentacles, they're not the fastest moving energy, but at the same time, you could see that slow, steady progress, and that could be going back to what we were seeing for the first house too. So yeah, I feel like at least maybe that's going to be the key is as you start to finally see some tangible signs of the growth that might put your mind at ease a little bit, right? Whereas maybe you felt like that wasn't shown in the outward reality for you guys, so that might have had you getting caught up in doubt for a bit. So for your ninth house of philosophy, higher learning, and foreign affairs, we have the Star. So this is actually the major arcana card for Aquarius, which is your 10th house of career. So yeah, so this could just be saying that maybe you're through all of this, right? You're experiencing your philosophy shifting a little bit when it comes to career, right? Maybe how much emphasis you put on it, how much energy you put toward it, your expectations from it, things along those lines there. But yeah, usually this, if we think about the fact that the Star is the card that comes after the Tower, right? This could just be saying that these might have been lessons that are very valuable, but they might have been hard won, right? So could just be saying that you went through a rough stretch to get to this point, but now you're finally embracing that. So for your 10th house of career and social status, we have the Five of Horns, which is the equivalent of the Five of Cups, and it's referred to as loss in this deck. So yeah, for some of you, this could just be pointing to, again, like we said, it's all connecting in that regard, where maybe there's some disappointments for you guys when it comes to your career, your finances, right? So let's say if you're someone who relies on making deals, maybe a couple of those might have fallen through for you guys recently, right? So there's some disappointment around that. But as with most of these decks with the Five of Cups, or in this case, Horns, right, we see that there are some spilled ones, but there's also some full ones up ahead, right? So it could just be saying that, yeah, for the time being, You might still be processing the loss of these deals, right? But there's still more to come. And, once you come to that realization, things will start to smooth out for you. But yeah, very valid to feel that way in the moment, right? So for your 11th house, which again, like we said, that came up with the dice as well, we have Union. So this is the equivalent of the Two of Cups. And seeing this here could just be saying a couple different things. Maybe you're going to have a meeting of the minds with someone that's in your friend group, right? So maybe that's going to help you get things back on track. Maybe you're just going to have some conversations where you feel like you're on the same page, and that's going to help you feel more confidence in what you have on your mind, right, and the plans that you might have. But for others, this could just be saying that maybe there's a specific person within the groups that you deal with that you're going to be getting closer with. Now, of course, people see Two of Cups or Two of Horns in a stack and the word union, right? They tend to gravitate toward more thinking in a romantic sense, which it could be that for some of you. But yeah, I feel like either way, this is just saying that you're going to have a strengthened bond with someone this month. And for your 12th house, which points to spirituality, blind spots, and mental health, we have the Three of Roots, which is referred to as work in this deck. So yeah, this is actually Three of Pentacles energy, a Capricorn energy. And to see this in the 12th house, what I'm getting from this could just be saying that, yeah, maybe you're coming to that realization, right? That maybe you have been hard on yourselves at times. And maybe you do feel like, okay, because of that, maybe you do get in your way at times. And you have to try to remain more positive and let things play out in the long run. But yeah, very, again, like I said, very natural to feel that way. There's just general heaviness in the air these days, it seems, anyway. Especially, now we have eclipse season going on as well. So maybe some of these things are coming to the surface for you guys, but to actually release it in a more positive way, which is the good thing there. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Son of Feathers. So this is the equivalent of the Knight of Wands, actually, which is a Sagittarius energy. So seeing this at the bottom of the deck could just be saying that, yeah, maybe the key for you guys to, if you're not out of the slump yet, right, maybe what could help you get there would be to get out and explore a little bit, right? So whether you actually physically travel or even just mix and mingle with cultures that you're not accustomed to, right? Even if it's only online, right? If you can't get away or if you have a limited number of cultures in the area where you live immediately, I feel like this is just saying that maybe that could leave you feeling inspired and reinvigorated. So, see what the Oracle card adds to the mix, though. So, like I said, we're going to pull a card from the Wisdom of the Oracle. I'm just going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. All right. Make that a little less messy, but I'll take this card here, get this out of the way, and we'll see what you got. All right, we have Unfinished Symphony. There's the artwork, and the number is 10. So yeah, we'll see what this has to say. All right, essential meanings says unfinished business, an incomplete lesson, lack of closure, the need to make amends. The Oracle's message. This is a time to tie up loose ends as you near the completion of a cycle or project and mastery of a lesson or skill. Before we can move forward, it's important that you come to terms with where you are now. Practice radical acceptance. Take inventory so that emotional and psychological closure can occur and the answers you seek will be found. You can't move forward if you are leaving things unfinished. Reflect on what has passed so that the symphony can finally end on a high note. So yeah, I would say overall that seems to align fairly well with what we were already talking about. So if that is your situation, hopefully that resonated. The relationship message says moving on is difficult when love lingers, things are left unsaid, and you haven't had the opportunity for closure in your relationship and in your heart. You can still feel bound up in relationships when closure is denied you. It's important to achieve this for yourself. Write that letter, make that call, or have that conversation over a cup of coffee. For peace of mind, accept matters as they are, make amends if need be, and declare your feelings, even if only to yourself. Be clear about what was left unresolved, and close the door on the past so you can set yourself free. Only then can new love blossom. So yeah, definitely an interesting message there because we have the Mother of Arrows in the seventh house, which could point to, like we said, positive communication there. In the fifth house, we see the Ace of Pentacles, so maybe you'll be feeling reinvigorated in that area of life in general. But yeah, it seems to point to release before we get to that point. All right, and the prosperity message says make sure you complete projects now before starting new ones. Perhaps you have created something special that will increase your sense of abundance and bring you opportunities for wealth. However, if you don't see it through, it won't add up to anything but more clutter. Now is the time to put your nose to the grindstone and complete the tasks that have accumulated. Pay your bills, sign the documents, do your filing, hand in an assignment, complete a work of art. Tie up loose ends so you can move forward with surety, knowing you're on the prosperous path and feeling refreshed and excited about the future. So yeah, I do like that theme there too of tying up loose ends, right? Like we said, it looks like for some of you it's going to be happening a little bit naturally because again, like I said, I feel like the main theme here seems to be where you might have been being a little bit hard on yourselves. For a lot of you, I feel like you have already come to that realization, and then that's going to help things flow more smoothly. And like we said, kind of makes sense as far as when we get these energies moving into Virgo, which is your fifth house, that could reinvigorate you, make you feel more creative, rejuvenated. So hopefully that is the case for you guys. But yeah, hopefully that resonated, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.